Hello, gentlemen, barbarians, savages. It's Rooster here. I'm going to talk a little bit today about something called third wave feminism. And third wave feminism is something that you see in the news. It's starting to come to a head, especially the last 4 or 5 years. Um, and it's been pretty devastating to a lot of men's rights with the new laws that they're coming out with. Um, before we talk about third wave, I should probably talk about first and second wave feminism. First wave feminism is considered like the suffrage movement back in the 1920s, where women got the right to vote. And then second wave is kind of in the 60s and 70s when they got reproductive rights and Roe versus Wade and abortion rights and uh, same rights in the workplace and stuff like that. And that's all fine and good, and most people, even men, agree that first wave and second wave feminism was great. It cured a gap that was definitely there, and basically got women equal rights. I mean, they basically have laws that require you to treat women equally under the law. So that should be it, right? No. When third wave feminism came along, it's really about devastating this idea that they have about the patriarchy. For some reason, these feminists think that men all get together and they created this big patriarchy where, we're out to get them and we're plotting day in and day out. How can we keep these women down and stuff like that? And it doesn't happen. It's just a basic fact that men are in charge because men have built this society. Men have built all the societies that are out there. Men do all of the hard work and men do all of the managing and stuff like that. And women take care of children. That's how it's been classically throughout all societies. So, anyways, but my point is now what they're trying to do is it's really about supremacy, creating a situation where women's rights are not even rights anymore, it's their whims. A woman's whims are over and above a man's rights. They're creating a situation of complete supremacy for women under the court system and stuff like that. So that's a little bit about the definition of it and how things are going now. I'm going to talk primarily in here about what things are over the top. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about falsehoods and the hypocrisy. 6 categories of hypocrisy in third wave feminism. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the economics all the way back from the 50s to now and kind of how the economics of it have played out. And then I'm going to talk about solutions. Okay. So let's talk about some of the stuff that's just over the top. Right now, you have things like Gamergate going on. And if you're not a gamer, you might not know what Gamergate is, but Gamergate is this idea that, in a virtual world, in a fantasy world where you're killing dragons and you're flying spaceships and you're shooting aliens and stuff like that, that showing women in bikinis or in fantasy outfits or something like that is somehow sexist. And to me, it's just crazy. It's completely over the top. It's like, how can I sexually harass a video game that I bought for $50 in a virtual world? And they have all of these arguments. Oh, your kids are playing this, and it's creating a world of sexism that they take out into, and that's all been debunked. That's the same bullshit that the Second Amendment people said about guns. Guns make kids violent, and it's been proved that that's not true either. So, what am I going to have to do? Play blotchy Minecraft for the rest of my life because some sexist woman doesn't want to have bikini-clad dark elves in a fantasy game? Come on, man, give me a break. But this is actually going on. They're trying to make legal laws against this stuff, gentlemen. Something else that's over the top, the level of sexual harassment now. All of this stuff, saying hi to someone at work, a male gaze. You know, if you look at someone for more than 3 seconds, you're creating a hazardous work environment. You know, it's nuts. And I used to see it in the Navy. I knew a dude that got written up for staring at another petty officer. It's like, you know, maybe he was checking out her uniform or something like that. Who knows? But, you know, she went in and complained about it. The guy got written up. No questions asked. No due process, no investigation, no nothing. They just wrote the guy up. In England right now, there's a county in England where it is a felony to do a wolf whistle to a woman. You know, one of these. You go to jail. That's a 3-year felony in England now. It's harassment, sexual harassment. Oh my God, that's just terrible. A wolf whistle. Really? Really? So, you know, what's going to happen? You know, flirting. If you're an ugly guy, you don't get to flirt anymore. You know, if you're a good-looking guy, you get to flirt all you want. But if you're an ugly guy, you don't get to ask anybody out. You don't have any rights. You know, if you're a 7 or below, you don't have any rights under this new feminist agenda. Come on, give me a break. One of the things that really pissed me off is they had a men's suicide meeting at a college campus the other day, and the third wave feminists showed up and protested a men's suicide conference. Can you believe that? That men don't have the right to grieve, that men don't have the right to talk about suicide and the suicide rate amongst each other, amongst their brotherhood, alone in a private, safe space with other men. These women had to come and protest that. And I think they got through, you know, they had to let these women in. And there was no place in there for women. It was a men's suicide conference. There's a new law in California. This is in the United States. Yes means yes, the new yes means yes law. When you are engaged romantically with a female, it is your responsibility now. Remember how all of my videos, there's one theme that follows all of this feminism stuff and MGTOW stuff through is women always want options and they always want to shirk responsibilities and they always end up putting the responsibilities on men. So now this yes means yes law, this is a law in California for anyone that's having sex, even with your wife. You have to ask permission every 10 minutes. Oh, honey, is it okay if I put it in now? Oh, is it okay if I kiss you on the neck? Oh, is it okay if I rub your back? Oh, is it? Every 10 minutes you have to ask permission because she might change her mind. How freaking crazy is that? That is a freaking law that third wave feminists have pushed through, people. Okay? Manspreading on the subway and on the buses in New York City. Can't sit with your legs like this. Okay? Men biologically have small hips and big thighs. Their legs go like this. Women have big hips and their legs go like this. You know, when your legs go like this, it's easy to put one over the other like that and sit like that. If you have a narrow little thin hip and then you try to cross your leg over like that, what are you doing? You're crushing your balls. This is actual, for real, physical ball busting. You can't sit on the bus like this. Or you can go to jail. The woman sitting next to you, if your knee rubs up against her in any way, she can call the police. The police will come to the bus. They will take you off and they will put you in fucking jail or give you a fine for the way you sit. Think about this, guys. Think about what the fuck is going on. This is craziness. You know, they want to talk about their womb. How about my legs, my choice? My legs, my choice. My body, my choice. I'll sit how the fuck I want to. The big problem with this, and the thing you got to get to your head is, third wave feminism is, it's not handling both genders' issues. It's not egalitarianism. It's not equal on both sides. They're not fighting for any men's rights, and I'll talk about the hypocrisy of some of the stuff that they have in their agenda that we have on the men's side that they're not even fighting for, right? So, they talk about rape and this rape culture. Okay, there are about 100,000 rapes in the United States every year. Okay, did you know? That's of women. Did you know that there are 140,000 rapes of men in prisons every year? There's more men being raped in prison than there are women being raped out in the entire rest of the world, the rest of the United States. Okay? Is that an issue for them? No. How come there aren't a bunch of feminists outside all of the prisons going, stop raping men, stop raping men, stop raping men? It's not an issue to them. Okay? Anywhere in this country, a woman that gets beat up, she can make a 911 call, and within 15 minutes she can be in a safe house. Completely anonymous, have her kids safe, her safe, everything. Men are not allowed. Are there any safe houses for men? For women that go crazy? I had an ex-girlfriend try to stab me with a screwdriver in my sleep. I woke up and rolled over just as she was getting ready to stab me with a fucking screwdriver. Okay? I had to freaking sleep in that house with her that night. I locked the bedroom door and put her on the couch, but still, I didn't have a safe house that I could go to, and she was batshit crazy. Okay? All women have court advocacy programs. You know, we can help you do this, we can help you do that, we can help you with your kids. Men not allowed. Men don't have any of that. Okay? Subsidized counseling, subsidized legal care for women. Men don't have any of that in the court system. Women receive less than half a sentence that men do. If a man gets 5 years, a woman gets 2 years for the same exact crime. Armed robbery. A woman gets 2 years on average. A man gets 5 years. Murder. Man goes up for life, 20 years. A woman usually gets out after 6 to 10. Why? Because she has a vagina? We want equal rights, right? Okay? Women don't have to sign up for the draft. They get the right to vote in the country that they live in, but they're not forced to kill or be killed for that country. They don't have to sign up for the draft. Is that right? Is that equal? No. Child support. 93% of men pay child support. 7% of women pay child support. Is that fair? No. Why isn't it 50-50? Because of a gender bias. This is all due to third wave feminism. University quotas. 60% of the graduations of graduating people from college are women. But there's a quota. There's university quotas to get women to go. Now, where in the world is there a quota for the majority? Women are already the majority of graduates, 60% to 40%. But there's a quota for women to get into college. Why? What is up with that? That's crazy. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the falsehoods now. That's kind of the stuff that's just over the top, that's just nuts, that's going on right now. But let's talk about some of the hypocrisy. Okay? All feminists use this double talk. Okay? The National Organization of Women will say one thing, we want this, we want this, we want this, and it's all hypocrisy. They oppose shared parenting. When you bring it up at a NOW conference, hey, how about equal parenting rights for men? Oh no, we don't want that. That's hypocrisy. You want women to continue to have these rights over top of men and child support and parenting rights and all that stuff, but all the other stuff you want to be equal. They talk about how they're the primary victims of war, okay? But 97% of the people that are in the military are men. and men are dying. But they're the primary victims, is because men are completely disposable. Feminists don't even see men as being equal. That's why we don't have any rights to be equal. Second one, that men are more violent. It's not true. In situations of domestic violence where a punch is thrown, okay, not yelling and screaming, domestic violence where the cops come to the door and a punch is thrown, 75% of the time, the woman threw the first punch. 3 times more violent than men. Women are 3 times more violent than men, and they're usually the initiator of violence in situations between men and women. Men are not more violent. Women are more violent than men. Okay? Third wave feminists don't want to talk about that because it's, oh my God, it's math. And because reasons. Because reasons. You have to be more violent. You're a rapist. Because you're a man, you're a rapist, and you must be more violent. Because reasons. Right? Let me tell you something else about that. Here's why. Here's why women are more violent. Okay? I love boxing. Me personally, I love boxing. Let's pretend there's a scenario where Mayweather and me can get in the ring, right? I'm going to be scared as shit. I'm not going to want to do anything, but let's say I got to get in there. But now I get in there and the ref says, okay, here's the rules. Mr. Mayweather, you are going to put your hands behind your back. We're going to tie them behind your back. And Mr. Wheeler, you're going to be allowed to do whatever you want to do. Okay. You know I'm taking my shots. I'm going to be hitting him as hard as I can. Why? Because that's freaking Mayweather. That's Money Mayweather. Even if he's got his hands tied behind it, even if he's got one tied behind his back, I'm still going to take my shots. Right? That's the same situation that women have with all men. We're not allowed to hit them. We're not allowed to hit them. So if you're in a situation where she knows that you're not going to hit her, or that you can't because of social policing or whatever, or the way you were raised or whatever, she's going to haul off and smack you as many times as she can get away with. It's the same freaking thing. That's why they initiate it first, and that's why I say they want to be equals. Treat them like equals. The women that I date, they know they got one time. You can slap me, hit me one time, and as soon as you raise your hand a second time, bam, you're getting jacked. And I've never had to do it. All I've ever had to do is just raise my fist like this and say, listen, bitch, that was your one time. You do it again and you're going to be unconscious. And that usually just sets them right down, because they're going to go up to the line that they can get away with. Okay? 3. Third wave feminists always want to talk about the patriarchy and institutional sexism. Alright, let's talk about institutional sexism. Jails. 95% of the jails are full of men. 95% more incarceration rate than women. 95%. Okay? Let's talk about the schools as an institution. Hey, little boys get constantly told to sit on their hands and act like little girls and be quiet and don't tussle around and don't wrestle and don't freaking fight with each other. When you do that, you are being disruptive and you are being a defective girl. We need you to act like a girl. So act like a girl. And that's what they're told for 18 years of their life, all through school. And then when you get to college, you get a little bit of a relief from that. But then you get the rape culture in college. So you're just dealing with more of this freaking feminism bullshit. Okay? And let's talk about the healthcare system, the healthcare institution. Let's talk about it. Okay. Breast cancer gets twice as much money as prostate cancer. And do you know what the death rates are for prostate cancer and breast cancer? They're within 1% of each other. And prostate cancer in some countries is actually higher than breast cancer. So the same rate of deaths per population, per capita, breast cancer gets twice as much money. Okay? Let's talk about institutional sexism. I'll talk about it all day long. When are you going to give me the other half of my money for my prostate issues? They don't want to talk about it. It's hypocrisy. They don't want to talk about their falsehoods, right? The other, sexual objectification. Let's talk about sexual objectification, okay? These women go on TV and stuff like that. You see a guy who comes on TV, goes on to a talk show or something like that. How many of these men are asked to take their shirts off? You know, Scarsdale, the dude, all the guys from True Blood and stuff like that. Oh, hey, you know, and it's constant prompting from these female hosts. Come on, take your shirt off. Show us some of this stuff. Show us this. Show us that. If that was a man, if that was David Letterman doing that to a woman, hey, take your shirt off. Hey, can you take your shirt off for us? Come on, get the audience clapping. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's get a little peer pressure. Take your shirt off, Scarlett Johansson. That dude would be rapey. He'd get pushed off of television. But women, Kelly Ripa does it to every hot-looking guy that comes on her show. Hey, take your shirt off. Touching them, feeling them, rubbing down their chest, feeling their abs. If the male host did that to a woman, Jesus Christ, he'd get thrown off the freaking television. So let's talk about sexual objectification. No, they don't want to talk about it because there's people out there like me that actually have a brain and we can see both sides of it. Okay, men are objectified just as much as men. Good-looking men are objectified more than women. Okay? The last thing that they do is this victimization. All women are victims, and men are responsible for my actions. I'm a woman. I have no agency. He made me do it. I was a hostage. I didn't, I never wanted to do any of it. He made me do it. And it's their way of being victims. And if a guy does that, oh, he's a whiner or he's a pussy or whatever. Okay? So, let's talk about some of the outcomes of this feminism stuff. And I'm going to use old Tommy the turkey here and old Sally the skunk. And we're going to do a little Ben Franklin test here. Let's go through this. For everything that's good for feminism or good for the patriarchy or whatever, we're going to give a penny. And we're going to throw it in each one of their jars. Oh, that's very exciting for me. Oh, I don't think you're going to get any pennies because the patriarchy, because men run everything, so obviously all the pennies are going to be in my jar. Well, let's see. We'll put them down and we'll start throwing pennies in here. Okay. Well, we take rape. That's the first one. That's going over here. That's going in the skunk's jar. We'll take safe houses for men. That's another penny over here for a skunky. Then let's talk about subsidized stuff. Oh my goodness, what's subsidized stuff? Subsidized stuff is very special because it's actually 2 pennies. Because you pay it out in your taxes, but then it's a benefit that you can't use. So, court advocacy programs. Boom. Subsidized counseling. Pay it out in your tax dollars, but men don't get to use it. Another penny for old skunky. Subsidized labor. Legal care. Another penny for them. How about less than half of the sentences for a crime? Another penny. University quotas. There's another one. Child support goes to the women. They get the money. Let's see, what else? Men are 50% more likely to die before the age of 1. That just doesn't seem right. Yeah, it's a penny for Skunky. Men are 50% more likely to be put up for adoption. Another one. 25% less likely to be adopted if they are put up for adoption. Men are. Wow. Another penny for her. Men are twice as likely to be in special education due to our gynocentric school system. Oh, man. I really don't think being a man's very good. I'm glad I'm a woman. Yeah, you ought to be. Men are 2 times more likely to have reading problems in grammar school. Another one for the woman. Men are 2 times more likely to have to work before the age of 16. Oh my goodness, I don't want to go to work while I'm still a minor. Well, you have to, buddy. That goes for the women. 4 times more likely to be suspended or drop out of school. Another one for the woman. Men are 3 times more likely to die before the age of 25. Oh my goodness, before the age of 25? Yeah, you're 3 times more likely, Tommy, to die than she is before you're 25. I guess we'll give her a penny for that. You're 50% less likely to graduate from college, Tommy. Another penny for her. You are 50% more likely, Tommy, to be unemployed if you do graduate. So even if I do go to college and make it through, I probably won't get a job as easy as she does. That's right, Tommy. Another penny for her. 3 times more likely to commit suicide, Tommy. Oh my God, if I go to college and I pay all that money and then I don't get a job and I can't find anywhere to live, I'm just going to kill myself. Probably. Another penny for her. Wow, I never realized it was so bad to be a man in this world. Starting to find out, huh? You are 2 times more likely to be a victim of violent crimes, Tommy. Really? Muggings, murders, all that stuff happens to men more. 50% more likely to be murdered. 4 times more likely to be an alcoholic. Ah, but I don't even drink. Penny for her. You're 2 times more likely to be an addict. Be a heroin addict or a coke addict. Or for her. And of course, the one we always talked about before, 95% more likely to be incarcerated. Yeah, put him in jail. He hits me. Well, let's do the tally. Let's see what we got here. We got, that sounds like a lot of pennies over here on old Skunky's side. And what do we got over here? Nothing. Tommy, you didn't have anything. All of that stuff, great to be a woman, wouldn't want to be a man. No. So, let's talk about the economics, since she has all of her pennies. How did she end up with all these pennies? How did Skunky? Yeah, how did I end up with all these pennies? How did our society get so fucked up? So let's talk about the economics. It's really very easy. You go back to the 1950s, right? And you live in a situation where the husband works, the wife is home with the kids, okay? Guy gets up, goes to work, asks for a raise. He gets a raise. If the owner of the company he works for knows he's got a wife, knows he's got kids, knows that the culture and the situation is such that that man depends on that paycheck to provide for his family. Okay? It's a completely clear understanding. There's nothing else, right? Feminism comes in the 1960s. Now, holy shit. Actually, before that, because in 45, Rita the Riveter started moving women into the workforce. But that's the point. When feminism came around, women economically moved into the workforce. Well, if you've had your Econ 101 classes, you understand the elasticity of supply and demand, right? You now have twice as many workers to fill the same number of jobs. So what happens? When you have twice as many workers, before this was the only worker. Got up, went to work, came home. Now you got 2 workers, but I've only got 1 job. So I can either make 2 jobs, which isn't going to happen, or I lower wages because now I have more options. So I can lower Tommy's wages. He used to make 50 grand a year. Now I can lower his wages down to 35. And what's the reason for that? The corporations figured it out. They figured it out. Hey, Tommy, if you don't like how much I'm paying you, guess what? What? Put your wife to work. She can go to work. She can make 15 grand a year as a secretary. Oh, that's a good idea. So what actually happened is, by women going into the workforce, women were forced to go into the workforce. So now even more women flood into the workforce, and wages go even lower. Now you break forward into the 1970s. Okay? Now that's my generation. That's when I grew up. What happens? The salaries are so low by the 1970s that you're actually in a situation where you used to make 50 grand with one person working. Now this person's making 25 grand and this person's making 25 grand. So you're still making $50,000 a year between the two of you, but you're working 40 hours here and 40 hours here. So the people are working a total of 80 hours outside of the house. So what happens? There's only so many hours in the week. Time management. Supply and demand is the first half. Time management is the second half. If you spend 80 hours out of the house every week, who's taking care of the kids? Now you got daycare. Daycare comes in. Latchkey kids. I was a latchkey kid. Then you're losing parenting time. You're losing quality time. You are at a minimum away from your kids until 5 o'clock at night. Then you got time to do dinner, do chores, play a couple games of freaking Sorry, read a book, and the kids are in bed. That's not parenting time. That's not like it was in the 40s and the 50s. You used to go hunting with your dad in the middle of the week. You used to go fishing with your dad. You used to spend quality time with your parents. You used to cook with your mom because your mom was home cooking, during the day. She's at work now. Okay? So economically, you can see what's happening. You got latchkey kids. Now, what does that cause? Not only did it cause the wages to go down, now the government steps in because, and I talked about this before, abortion and the pill, the birth control pill, and the fact that women can make their own money sometimes, and the child support system, when you take all 4 of those and put those together, it's a perfect storm for, I don't need you anymore. Get the fuck out of here. Boom. Daddy gets sent away because can marry the government. Mommy, old Sally, the skunk here, takes her kids, gets married to the government, gets her child support check. She can work. She has her job. She's got her daycare that he's still got to pay for. And she's living fat, dumb, and happy. And she doesn't have to deal with a husband at all. So that happened in the 70s, and the 80s, and the 90s. Now, the thing that feminists didn't realize is not having this guy around in the house really changes the moral fiber of our society. Okay? Not having a father in the house changes the things that kids learn and when they learn it. A little boy can't learn to be a man if there's no father around because Sally doesn't know how to be a man. Sally doesn't know the issues that men deal with. So a lot of these kids with no male role models They learn their first lessons about how to be a man at the bar, in the military, in the street, or in jail. Prison will teach you how to be a man real quick. If you don't know how to survive in our society and how to do it, the prison system will teach you. And that's what happens. Women don't have a problem because mama's still in the house, and if she has little girls, she knows how to be a girl. She can teach little girls how to grow up and be a woman. She doesn't have a fucking clue how to teach a 12-year-old boy how to be a man. She can teach a 12-year-old boy what she thinks manhood's about, but she doesn't fucking have any idea. Okay? So, divorce goes through the roof, latchkey kids go through the roof. Now, as I said, that was the first generation in the 70s. That was my generation. My grandkids, now, there's been a whole nother generation of my kids that grew up, got into their 20s, then they've had kids, and they're going through the same thing. So you've got a second generation where mommy puts up with the husband for 5 or 6 years, and then when she gets to be about 25 or 26, the kids get in school. Usually divorces happen around school age. They either happen when the kids first start talking at 2 or 3 years old, or they happen at school age. If they don't happen at that time, then they usually happen. They don't happen until the kids get into college. But the divorce rate for right around when kids are 5 or 6 years old is through the freaking roof. They call it the 7-year itch, but it's not the 7-year itch. What it is the kids are gone to school, and mama knows she can kick daddy out and get a job while the kids are at school and pay for shit herself, right? So what I'm saying is the first generation is in the 70s. Then there's another generation that were latchkey kids that were brought up without a father. Now our society gets even worse, and now this is the third generation of millennials. And why does everybody say so much shit about the millennials? Millennials don't even have any idea about working on a car with their dad, hunting on a Wednesday afternoon with their dad, going fishing with their dad. They don't have any idea of what it was like in the 50s growing up, riding your bike outside and running around with your friends. They don't have any idea because their entire idea of the society that they grew up with is Xbox on the couch until 9 o'clock and texting their girlfriends who they never see, and their dad's at work until 10 o'clock at night at the advertising office, and he comes home, grabs a beer and goes to bed, doesn't even talk to him. Okay? That's our society, and we've had 3 generations of that. This is the 3rd generation, and you see how the millennials turned out. Okay? Now, having said all of that, the pisser about it is we can't go back. You can't put Pandora back in the box. There's no way that you're going to be able to crunch women down and make them go back to cooking lunch and making sandwiches for their kids because they don't want to. They want their freedom. So there's no way forward by going backwards to traditionalism. We can't go back to traditionalism. So that's a pisser, but I do have some solutions. So how do we combat feminism, especially third wave feminism? 6 things that we can do as men, okay? The first thing is we fight for equal parenting time. Whether you're still married, whether you got a girlfriend, whether you got a baby's mama, whether you just knocked them up, whatever, go to court, fight for equal parenting time, fight for laws that create fair child support and parenting time, okay? Equal health care funding. We can't let them spend all the freaking money on breast cancer. Men have issues too. We have heart disease issues. We have prostate cancer. You know, we need our Viagra for sure when we get into our 60s. So we need our equal health care. Fight for the funding, okay? Equal responsibility under the law. Women want options, not responsibilities. Start forcing them to take responsibilities. Force women to sign up for the draft. Force them to do equal parenting. Force them to pay child support. Force them to be in situations where they're uncomfortable and they want to be victimized. Too freaking bad. Equal protection under the law. Equal responsibility. Equal responsibility in the school system. Okay? Stand up for our boys in the school system, for our little boys. Let them go to recess. Let them be boys. Teach them how to grow up and be good men. Don't force them to act like little girls. Okay? 5, economic support. Same thing. You've got to support men's issues economically, and not just women's issues. You know, you have to put some money towards anything that you want to get done from a male standpoint. And equal anonymity under the law. Okay? That's just the same thing as like ruining men's lives because of accusations. Oh my God, I'm accusing this man of raping me. I'm accusing this man of sexual harassment. He loses his job. He loses us based on accusations. What about all those soccer kids that lost their full ride scholarships at the college because of an accusation from a stripper? Turned out it was wrong. They lost 2 years of their ability to play soccer, and they lost 2 years of their life, and they lost 2 years of money because of an accusation. They didn't have any anonymity under the law. They're allowed to be anonymous. Okay, just because you're accused of something doesn't mean that you should be raked through the papers. Okay, if you get convicted, that's a different story. Get convicted by a trial of your peers, okay, rake the guy through the mud a little bit. But they don't do that to women. They don't do that to women. They don't put women's names out there who drive their car with their 4 kids into a river, set it on fire, and then laugh. They don't put that lady's name out in the paper. No, they just said, the mother tried to kill her children. She'll be going to trial. You know, they won't say the names of the kids. They won't say the name of the mother. So, I'll do a real quick summary. Third and fourth wave feminism. Talked a little bit about what they're trying to do. They're trying to crush this, what they assume is a patriarchy, and they're trying to use it by not addressing both genders' issues. Just female issues are the only things that they address. Talked about the hypocrisy and the falsehoods that they go through. Talked a little bit about the economics from the 50s up till now. And then I talked about the 6 solutions. And I can go over them real quick again. Equal parenting time, equal health care funding, equal responsibility under the law, equal responsibility in the schools, economic support for men, and equal anonymity or anonymousness. Okay? Under the law. So, that's all I have on this. Hope you liked it. If you didn't, put it down in the comments. Love to hear from you. And as always, take it easy.